Meet Davey Jones. He's been at WidgetMart for 10 years. He started out as a technical writer, but his job has grown over time to the point where it has morphed into instructional design and training. WidgetMart began a transition from their old way of conducting training to an EPSS, Electronic Performance Support System. It would combine existing materials and new information to be presented online. Davey, being the clever and capable fellow he is, was put in charge of the project. This could be great for Davey's career and reputation, but it was no easy task. WidgetMart started out with one store in 1956. By 1979, they had 800 stores, and by 1991, they had 4,000. By the time Davey was put in charge of the EPSS project, WidgetMart had become the nation's largest widget retailer, with 5,000 stores in the U.S., Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Canada. Annually, the company sold more than 250 million widgets to almost 150 million customers, with sales of about $3 billion. WidgetMart has 3 store chains: traditional WidgetMart stores, Universal Widgets for the upscale market, and Buy More departments inside of large retail stores. The company has always tried to keep its associates and managers up to date on best practices within their industry. Before 1979, they had Sit with Fred, where new managers got 6 to 18 months of training with traveling managers and supervisors who came to their stores. The problem with this was that experiences tended to vary by region and even from store to store within a region. There were 6 regional management offices, and getting them to agree on any procedure was a challenge. They also had a problem much like the childhood game of telephone. Procedures and their rationale started out clear and firm, but as they traveled from one trainer to another and down to the associates, the messages degenerated into something that was at times unrecognizable. When the company began to grow immensely in the 1980s, these issues were suddenly magnified and hard to ignore. This is when management standardized the training and employed technical writers to compile an ops manual detailing procedures that needed to be consistent in every store, such as which widgets to display and how to display them. Workshops and other training materials, paper-based at that time, were developed and made available to all store managers and associates. The EPSS plan will update and replace the existing materials and create new materials in an online system. The idea is to make it easy to access information about best practices related to store operations, including loss prevention, retail operations, merchandising, human resources, and much more. It's a huge challenge. Davey needs to create a single EPSS package that will work for everyone from the entry-level shipment processors to managers, and it has to include variations in information that meet the needs of the 3 different divisions of WidgetMart, as well as the needs of the many international stores. There's a lot of different stakeholders to consider in this design too, including WidgetMart's trainers, managers, and associates. All 3 will need to know and use the EPSS. Trainers will need to be the ones to learn the system and implement its use. Managers should be able to assist their specific regions. And don't forget the customers who expect a superior product and excellent customer service when they visit WidgetMart. Let's take a closer look at how Davey is approaching this monumental task. Davey realizes he can't do this alone, and he has assembled a project team of 4 other members, each with unique WidgetMart experiences. Let's meet Davey's team. Ellen understands merchandising processes and has designed many of the business applications going into the EPSS. She will take on some administrative responsibilities in the project too, so that Davey can focus more on the long-range strategy for the system. Josie had worked on the acquisition team for Universal Widgets and was instrumental in creating the training at Buy More. She is well versed in all 3 sides of the company. Tim is the translation expert for international branches. He understands the customs, languages, and government requirements in each country. Barry is skilled in management development and interpersonal skills. He will focus on internal marketing and change management aspects of the system. Unfortunately, there are more problems Davey has failed to recognize. It seems some steps have already been taken in the design of the EPSS, but are they steps in the right direction? The company started off with an in-depth analysis of the performance environment to figure out where and how information was used in the stores. A step in the right direction, you'd think. Maybe not? It seems no one is paying attention to what this analysis reveals. The data shows that associates and managers are rarely at the computers. In fact, most managers spend only 15% of their time on them or near them. Take your typical associate. She spends most of her time processing shipments in the back room or stocking displays in the store. She generally only uses the store's computer to clock in and out each day. Davey should have realized that this analysis didn't provide an accurate look at what is actually going on at WidgetMart. It seems this incomplete analysis spurred the design of the new EPSS. Ideally, 4 potential functions are planned for the EPSS. Number 1. Software applications with embedded knowledge. These would house best practices and business rules, eliminating the need for associates to learn the skills. An example might be an inventory finder providing suggestions to support customer service. Number 2. A reference component. Here, managers could retrieve information on a policy when they need it. An example might be to find out how many days an employee can take off for bereavement leave. Number 3, a job aid component. This is a collection of printable worksheets and reminders that would support performance on the floor. An example might be a schematic plan for how to set up displays based on how much product one has and the configuration of shelf space available. Number 4, a computer-based instruction function. This would include structured information and guidelines to help an associate internalize information, particularly for workplace scenarios. An example might be a tutorial on how to handle an irate customer. These functions seem like a terrific idea, but they are flawed because they are based on a single type of analysis that did not consider the reality of how little the associates and managers actually use computers. Davey made another monumental mistake. He committed to an EPSS design plan before all the front-end analyses were complete. Without additional analyses, it's hard to say if this new EPSS even addresses the company's performance issues. Remember, WidgetMart has too much information floating around for its employees and too many inconsistencies from store to store. Will putting this information online really solve that problem? Davey needs to look at the performance problem from many angles, not just environmental. How can we help poor Davey? What's our solution?